Tony Sims in lockdown. How's it treating you so far?
Yeah, same as everyone else, really. Just a bit bored, really. So I'm used to being in the gym like 6 days a week, and just a bit bored, really. Just reading. Been doing some painting indoors. Just the jobs that you need to get done, but you leave, and just trying to make myself busy with everything, really.
Have you managed to do any training, like keep yourself fit while at home?
Yeah, I've been training. I run this morning. I run every other day. But what I've done is I've set up just like a little home gym up in my conservatory. Like I've got a bike in there, got a few dumbbells in there, barbell, like a sit-up mat. So I've been doing like a circuit one day, and then the next day I've been doing my running. So I've been getting up at 6:30 and doing the running. So there's like nobody about, and just getting into the forest and doing my usual run.
How often are you in touch with all the lads?
Every day. We've got a group chat that we all speak on every day, and then I sort of ring one of them per day, and then just to see how they're doing and if they're training. So they're still all training, ticking over. It's just trying to find, like, you don't want to like run every single day. So they're just trying to, like, a couple of them have got bags in their garages. So they've been in a bag, and then the others that ain't got the bags, they've been running one day and like circuit and strength the next day, and just try and alternate it like that.
Do you miss it?
Yeah, we all miss it, don't we, Dan? You miss it, don't you?
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not there 6 days a week. You must miss it even more.
You talk 6 days a week, though, don't you?
Yeah, well, I'm still doing that just to myself.
Yeah, I mean, we all miss it. I mean, the guy that I rent my gym off of, Eddie Coventry, he died last week of COVID, which is terrible. Do you know what I mean? So, his funeral's tomorrow. Obviously, no one can attend it, but when you start knowing people that are dying of it, like Nigel Benn's brother died last week as well, it's like terrible. Do you know what I mean? You realise the enormity of how big this is and how much it spreads.
Were you guys pretty close?
With Eddie, yeah. I mean, since I've been there 6 years, I've sort of seen him every day or 6 days a week. See him every day. He comes in the gym, so all the boys know him really well. Like, he become a really close friend of mine, and I play golf every week with him. Really close to him, so I was, a bit upset about that. He was in a bit of ill health anyway. He had like cancer of the lung, but he'd got over that with chemo, and he survived that. That was last year, and then obviously this year he got it on the Monday, and he was dead on the Thursday, so he didn't last long with it.
It's awful, isn't it? We can only hope it starts to dip a bit now.
Yeah, well, they're saying we might peak this week, aren't they? So, let's hope it does. But I don't know. Like, all we could do is listen to government advice, because I really don't know when everything can start up again, really. I mean, I don't really see anything starting up properly until September time, really.
Well, that's the thing. Even if the lockdown ends soon, boxers still need like 8 to 12 weeks before a fight date. People need to start earning money again to attend events as well. It doesn't seem like it's going to be soon.
No, I think if boxing gets started up again, I believe it'll be behind closed doors in the studios or whatever, like where we're on Sky Sports. I think that's where it'll be at first, without the public, because I don't really see a way out of this COVID-19 without the vaccine, really. I think they was talking about doing behind closed doors. I know there's been talk about it, but then everyone that goes in behind the closed doors will have to be tested before, obviously, they go into the studio. And even then, you don't know whether someone's only just picked it up, and so I don't really know where it's going without the vaccine. I was reading this morning that a professor at Oxford University was saying she's 80% sure that we'll have a vaccine by September. So that's all we got to pray for, that a vaccine comes out, really.
How do you think it will affect the boxers if they are going to compete behind closed doors? Will it make any difference to their performance?
I think it will a little bit, because obviously, you know, their lives are training towards dates. And obviously, when you're training towards dates, it's about when you first start sparring and you're getting that rough edges off you. And then when it comes to the end of the sparring, say you've done 6 weeks of sparring out the 12-week camps. So coming towards the end of the sparring, they'll start feeling their sharpness and their distancing is getting better. You can see it in them as their weight drops. So, you know, and then they'll box. Then they'll have a break, a week or two off. Then they're back in the gym working towards the next day and repeat it over again. So obviously, if we're going to be not doing any sparring for you don't know how long, you know, obviously it's going to take a bit of the edge off of them. But it ain't just them. Every fighter in the world's going to be in the same position. So it ain't just going to be them. It'll be every fighter, you know. So it's going to take a little bit of getting back into the ring again, you know, going through the process of getting sharper on the bag, sharper on the pads, and then going through the process of sparring and finding your timing in the sparring.
And what about fighting with no crowd attending? If that does happen, is that something that affects you as a fighter?
That's dependent on whether the you know, the actual fighter, because sometimes when you're fighting you can lock out the crowd. You know, your concentration level goes into the fight and you can lock the crowd out, but other fighters like fighting to the crowd. So it's dependent on the individual, the fighter.
And how have you been able to plan? Because like you say, no one knows exactly when it's going to come back. So what are you telling the fighters in terms of how they tick over and stuff? Because normally you'd be trying to peak for a set date.
Yeah, well, you know, just trying to tell them when I speak to them individually, that I try to tell them to keep focused on what they're doing. I send them fights pretty much nearly every night. I put that onto the group chat. You know, old fights, fights that I think that are worth watching, and you know, I tell them what to look for in the fights. And you know, I've been sending them all sorts of fights, like Carlos Monzon fights, Emil Griffith fights. I sent them yesterday Oscar De La Hoya versus Chavez fights, Arturo Gatti versus Robinson fights, both them fights. So them sort of fights where you can watch world-class fights and then you can pick up some moves and practice it on your own, whether you've got a bag or you can practice it in the mirror. So that's what I've been doing with them, really, is pinpointing out good fights that I think to watch, the moves that good fighters do, and then to practice them moves out on their own. And just try to stay focused. You know, like when I'm doing my runs, I'm running and then I'm videoing myself running, talking to them, so they can see that I'm up at 6:30 in the morning myself and I'm out running. So I'm trying to keep them motivated, thinking, well, if my trainer can do it, then I can do that, you know. And, you know, you just got to keep yourself ticking over. And it's like Eddie Hearn said to all of them. I'm sure he said it to every fighter in his stable, like the ones that are ready to fight, when we're allowed by the government to start running the shows, the ones who are ready will fight first, and the ones that ain't ready, like balloon their weight up and ain't fit enough, will fight last. So, you know, they've all got that in their mind. I don't see any foreign opponents being brought over either. I think you'll see mostly domestic fights, which it'd be good for the lower rep fighters, you know, up and coming, because they get to meet their domestic rivals. Obviously, the world elite ones will struggle, I think, because there's only so many world elite in Britain at that same weight.
You mean because of the travel restrictions as well? We're less likely to see.
Yeah, I think there'd be massive travel restrictions. I don't see foreign boxers just flying in from anywhere.
But in that case, then, does it make a rematch maybe between Callum Smith and John Ryder more likely?
I hope so. Because John would like that fight anyway, you know, because, you know, me and John both thought that he won that fight. And most people did really in the arena, especially the people in the arena that night knew who won that fight. And I've said previously, the scoreline was horrendous, the scorelines, and that's what made everyone kick up about it. Our one judge only give John 3 rounds out of 12. It's just a liberty, even thinking back of it now. But that's a fight that John would love. John would love that fight. And like you say, these fights might get made. John would love to fight Billy Joe Saunders again, that fight as well. That could have gone either way at the time, and that's never been rematched, that fight. So, there's good domestic fights out there. And like you're saying, luckily, at super middleweight, there's a few world-ranked fighters that can all fight each other. It's not at every weight, but, at super middleweight, there's quite a good few in there that could all fight each other.
And with Scott Fitzgerald going through the problems that he's got at the moment, maybe we finally get to see Cheeseman against Fowler.
Yeah, well, that's another one. I mean, our plans with Ted this year, where he's younger than all them, he's younger than Scott and a lot younger than Fowler, where he's the young one out of the three of them. I was going to he was supposed to fight on March the 28th in an 8-round fight. And then Eddie was going to give him like a 10-round intercontinental fight. Then by September, he was going to fight whoever was the British champion, whether it be Fitzgerald or Fowler. Now all that's probably changed now. I don't really know what the board are going to do with Fitzgerald, because at the moment he's still British champion, so I don't really know. We won't know until boxing restarts up again, I think, what'll happen there. But like Ted's definitely in the running with them three, and like you say, there's 3 good fights there between them 3 in that division as well, domestically.
And you got Joe Cordina and Martin J. Wall both at super featherweight now. How do you kind of balance that? Just kind of guide them in different directions, I suppose. Yeah,
well, obviously Martin J. Wall, they're ranked 2 and 3 on BoxRec in Britain, but Martin J. Wall's obviously been a pro a long time now, and before the coronavirus come about, after his last fight in February, Eddie promised him the world title, which we was going to go for. So he was just going to wait for that, and that was hopefully going to happen in the summertime. So domestically, I mean, the only one above them is Cole Frampton, who's supposed to be fighting for a world title. So who knows what's going to happen there? Because all I see now at the moment for the next year really is domestic fighting. I don't really see. I think, like we're saying, unless the vaccine comes in, and unless the vaccine can be provided, like the certificates that the fighters have had them, and that's the only way I see any foreign fighters coming into Britain.
I guess at your stable, something like this affects, say, a Ricky Burns a lot more than, say, a Conor Benn, because he's towards the end of his career and he needs to get the fights in, whereas the younger guys have got time on their side. Yeah,
exactly. It's his birthday today, Ricky, isn't it? I think he's 37. So,
happy birthday,
Ricky, if you're watching it. Yeah, of course, yeah. Ricky's coming to the end of his career anyway. He was only going to look at another 1 or 2 fights, maybe, if they come about. And like you say, but I don't really know. I can't really speak for Ricky, what Ricky wants to do, but like you say, he's coming towards the end anyway. I'm 37 at lightweight, ain't a great age either. So obviously, like you say, the affected ones will be the older fighters in the world that was maybe looking at their last year in boxing. That might have to retire sooner rather than later.
And just before I let you go, I spoke to Eddie actually last week, and he was talking about the possibility of making Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua getting their respective next opponents to step aside. For you, is that the fight between the 2 best heavyweights in the world, if it can be made?
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. They're the 2 elite, 2 elite. They hold all the titles. And that's probably a fight that'll have to be made now as well. What he was just saying, because of the virus, I think that will be the only fight that can be made. I don't see Tyson Fury being able to fight Wilder again anyway, because of the restrictions and everything. So is that fight, if a fight does get made, I think it'll be between them 2 anyway.
Brilliant. Well, it's been really good to talk to you. Even though it's not in person, it's always an education. And,
that's it, Dan. Yeah. And tell everybody.
Safe, the message.
Say again.
I said stay safe, I guess is the message.
Stay safe, yeah, and don't forget, I've just opened the Matchroom Boxing Gym Instagram page, Dan. So
Okay.
get following it, mate. And
I
everybody
will.
out there.
So will everyone who watches this now, I hope. So.
Yeah. I've opened it through. I've never gone on it before, but my son Charlie said doing it, so I've opened it through coronavirus season out of boredom, I think.
Well, I hope you keep it going when it is all over. Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah.